What's going on, family? The entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lucky Murray, back with another CHH now. And we got to talk about it here, man. Mega Pastor Louie Giglio, I believe I said his last name correctly. Giglio is under fire. It was him, I believe, one of the Cathy's, the CEO of, I think it's Dan Cathy, I believe, owner of the CEO of Chick-fil-A. It's one of the Cathy's, and Lecrae was having a conversation. And Louie Giglio, decided to switch up the terms real quick and not say white privilege, because he believes that, white Americans, Caucasians, have issues connecting with white privilege because of the name privilege. So he wanted to switch it up and call it white blessings. I'm going to play a quick video of it, and we're going to talk about this, man. But before I do, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That will let you know every time your boy Lucky Murray drops a video. Without further ado, let's get into this video.
It's interesting because I feel like on the inside of the church, we're fighting this historical context you talk about. In other words, we love the blessing of the cross, but we don't love to sit in it and realize this is what God's asking me to do, to die to myself and to live for him, whatever context that's going to look like for me. But I want to flip that upside down, because I think the other side of it is true with our nation's history. We understand the curse that was slavery, white people do, and we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in and lived in. And so a lot of people call this white privilege, and when you say those two words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people, because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that you and I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is the trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart.
Sure.
Let's get down to what then do you want to call it. And I think maybe a great thing for me is to call it white blessing, that I'm living in the blessing of the curse that happened generationally, that allowed me to grow up in Atlanta. And you're talking about being 57. If you were 57, I can't imagine being that old, Dan, and being 57. But I've said to our church, Lecrae, a few weeks ago, when I was born, the day I was born on Boulevard at Georgia Baptist Hospital in 1958, black people did not have equal rights in this city. Not my grandparents' lifetime or their lifetime, in my lifetime. This is right now what we're talking about today. And
So that was Louie Giglio, and he had a very interesting term, like I said, white privilege. And his whole meaning behind it was that, hey, look, a lot of people look at the curse of slavery, which is bad. But, hey, look, because of slavery, then I, being white, am able to live off the benefits of slavery. And thus that being a privilege instead of a blessing, instead of a privilege. Yeah, I don't like the words that he used right there. Giglio, he's a mega pastor. It was Dan Cathy and Lecrae. A lot of people had issues with Lecrae not saying anything and just kind of chucking and agreeing to it. I don't know what you could do if you're in they're in a town hall meeting, he's talking, and that came up. So he got to kind of digest that as he's talking. I'm not making any excuse for Lecrae, but I have a very hard time believing that you can account a blessing with the horrific things that slavery offered. Not only breaking up different families, not only captating millions and millions of African people, and not only dehumanizing them, subjecting them to all types of abuse, treat them as property. Oh yeah, but it's a blessing because we get to live off the benefits of the black people. I think that, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but I kind of don't, because again, that's like you saying the not the Germans, not the Germans, yeah, excuse me, who put the who started World War II, and Hitler. That's like Hitler and the German people come together and be like, you know what? We understand that the Holocaust was terrible, but the blessing of it is that we get to acknowledge Jewish people and the fact that they are submitted in history, and the fact that they had to work at these labor camps and they did a lot of great work and great things for people. Like, nah, man, like nobody want to hear that. It's like, yeah, but the issue is we are underneath and very, 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 very tense times, especially as far as racial relations. This is probably one of the tensest times that I ever seen in my life, and I'm 31 years old. Excuse me. So you got that end of the spectrum. Two, you got people right to this day protesting. You got whites, you got blacks, you got people protesting to change the different laws so that policemen cannot just go out and shoot unarmed black men, or anybody in general can just shoot unarmed black people in general, not just police officers. And for you to sit here and say, hey, look, I thought about it, and, it's a privilege, not a privilege. I keep saying privilege. It's a blessing that we get to live off of and not a privilege. I would rather say privilege than blessing. You know what I'm saying? I know God's blessing falling on the just and the unjust, but at this particular time, let's not try to justify what it is and just try to have the problem, and this is a whole hour conversation. So I don't want to take a small snippet and try to make it out to be where it is, what it's not. But I have trouble with that terminology, but I want to hear what you got to think about that terminology. What do you think about white blessing? Do you think that should be something that we should be saying now? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation, people, because this is real. This is happening. And I think that this conversation you had. So again, it's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, and please don't forget all three. Lucky Murray back with another CHH now. And yeah, Lecrae was in a meeting with Dan, Cathy, Louie Giglio, and Pastor Giglio decides to combine privilege with blessing. So he thinks the new term should be white blessing. What do you think about it? Write in the comment section below. But until next time, people.